is waiting on fries. That you don't get it? You don't. What do you mean you don't get waiting on fries?
Hopefully the customer never hears waiting on fries, but all this time on the entree and it's perfectly executed, and then you're like,
ready to go.
I forgot to fire the fries.
I just always use that when I forgot to put somebody's order in, and I was like, hey, I'm just waiting on the fries. It's gonna be 2 more minutes. Realistically, I come back 10 minutes with the food.
Exactly. They just know that their food's not there and the server said they're still waiting on fries.
I guess we're just waiting on fries.
What really annoyed me was how bad they were at the COVID stuff.
Okay.
Because, as we know, I've been pushing my wife. You got to be behind going out to restaurants and out to eat and all that stuff.
Did they just kill her mood on going out?
So I don't know. She come because I had to leave early. So I had a draft. I had to go to my fantasy draft. So I had to leave the whole thing early.
Priorities.
But she came out to eat here Thursday night, right? And she sat outside.
Okay.
And after the end of it, she was like, you know what? It was pretty good. I'm okay. You want to go out to eat? I'm good with outdoor dining. I'm like, awesome. We're going out like next week.
In the right way.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we go to this thing, and I would, to be honest, I was unsure of it because it was like a party, and I didn't even know. I was like, I'm not even sure they're allowed to do whatever they're doing right now. But I don't actually care about that part. I care about
how you handle
it.
Yep.
Like,
Once the
if you
people
want
are
to
there,
have 10, 15 people, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all family, and we were in a separate room.
Okay.
She thought we were gonna be outside the whole time because it's a farm place. It's like animals and stuff. So she thought it would be like an outdoor thing. Ended up being inside.
Okay.
The server. I'm just gonna preface with this. I have this belief: if you're a restaurant, if you're a bar that messed around this whole time and didn't follow the rules and threw everybody else under the table and basically put the whole industry at risk this whole time that we've been dealing with this, I'm done with you.
Right.
I'm not gonna come, even if I went before and we were boys. I'm not coming there anymore. I'm not spending more money because you threw the industry at risk.
They put everybody's livelihood at risk.
You couldn't follow basic rules easily. They're not that hard to follow. So all these places that decided they're not going to enforce putting a mask on, which is the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's not whether I believe the mask is effective or not. It doesn't matter.
That's the
rule. Right? And basically, we were at risk for a while of if enough restaurants and bars weren't following the rules, everything's going to get shut down.
Yep.
So if you were brazen enough to just not give a shit to the extent that you weren't following these rules, and basically put the industry at risk, because it could have got to a point where somebody at the top says, I'm done.
Yep.
You can't follow the rules. Everybody's shut down. And then we're really in a bad place.
Yeah.
You obviously didn't think that. I'm done with you. You put our industry at risk. I'm not going to
support you.
I'm not going to support you during COVID or after.
Right.
You're dead to me.
Get you.
Right? So anyway, I was at this place, and the server was like, every time she came, first of all, every time she delivered a plate, she's pulling the mask up and down, touching the mask, touching the plate, touching the mask, touching the plate. Whether we got COVID or not, I don't want you touching your face and touching my plate.
Absolutely
At any
not.
point
before
in the
masks.
world, I don't even care if it was pre-COVID or not. Don't touch your hair and touch your face and then touch my plate. That's gross, right? She's doing that the whole time, and every time she came to the table to talk, she'd pull the mask off to talk to people.
What's the point
and
of
then
having
put
the mask on
I'm
at that
what are you doing? The whole point was to keep it on. Not when you're away from the table, when you're and there's some older people in the party. And
did you call him out on that?
No, because I'm not.
I think I would have said something.
Right?
I think I would have said something.
Should I call him out?
That legitimately defeats the whole purpose of having a mask on. If you're going to walk over to me, then pull it off.
And to be honest, in the back of my head, it's not even the mask that bothers me. It's the easiest part of running this whole thing is to get your staff to wear a mask the entire time.
And then once it's on, just leave it alone. It's uncomfortable, but whatever, just deal with it.
If you can't get your staff to follow that simple rule, what else are you not following? What else are you not? What are you doing when I can't see?
Exactly.
This is what you're doing when I can see. What are you doing when I can't see?
This is what you're walking over and showing me.
What do you think? You usually disagree with me on that kind of stuff.
It's hard to keep the mask up is all I'm thinking. I wasn't there.
It's hard to keep
it might have been falling off her face.
It's not hard.
It could have been falling off her face some, and she was trying to pull it up, but you made it sound like she was literally just taking it off to talk.
Not even made it sound. That's what he said.
No, she was literally taking it off to talk. She'd walk up to the table, take it off, talk, put it back on.
I honestly don't even care about the mask thing anymore. That's where I'm mentally at. Yeah, we're wearing them because we have to wear them.
Exactly.
Do I think that they do any good? Minimally.
But that debate aside, I'm just saying
we're wearing them because we have to wear them.
There's currently people that could not be happy with you not wearing a mask.
Yeah, I get it.
Right?
Is
it that hard to just deal with it?
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's not.
Anyways, what's up, guys?
Nothing much, man.
Jeez, Nooms, update me. I just heard some new information that I wasn't aware was real.
Yeah, man. So apparently, Union Square Hospitality Group is reversing their stance on gratuity or hospitality included.
But we talked about this like a few shows back, right? Where essentially this service fee is what they were calling
They call it
was just getting thrown
hospitality. The hospitality included. That literally meant that you didn't have to leave a tip. All of that was included in the price of your meal, and that's known to you up front.
So like servers couldn't make potentially more money because it's built in, and everyone's just like, oh, you just whatever it is, go ahead.
And so with that in place, at Manhattan, we had a revenue share. So there was a percentage of the restaurant's revenue that was divided up amongst the staff, and that was what people would get in place of tips.
So it was like a point system, is what you're saying, like a pooled tip point system, divvied up by, say you're
Based
the
on
server,
your
you get
position.
2 points. If you're the bartender, maybe you get 1.5 points or something. If you're a shucker of oysters, you're getting like 0.5% of that. It's essentially
something
that.
along those lines. Yeah, I mean different percentages, but something along those lines.
Okay, but we reneged on this and we're pulling it back now.
Yep. And so now they are allowing tipping at their restaurants, but what he's pushing for is the ability to split those tips between the front of the house and the back of the house, because apparently there's laws, at least in New York City, or where is it? It's all over the place, that say that you can't share those tips with the back house workers.
As far as like on paperwork goes.
Yeah.
But like, say I rolled into the back of the kitchen, you were cooking something, and
you
I
just
screwed
threw
up,
me, like-
and I was like, yo, Nooms, I forgot to add this into the system.
I mean, like,
Can
under
you
the
cook
table
it faster
dealings.
and I throw you a 20, you'd make it happen.
Yeah, I'd make it happen for you.
Cool. Well, that's a whole different story, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. That article's out there, though, I think, right?
It's out there.
I'm gonna have to read up
find
more
that?
on this. I'm not familiar with the change.
Yeah.
The headline that you guys just said, but I want to know more about like why and what those reasons.
Like I said, I didn't really read the article, but it's a big change that just happened.
I just listened to a podcast from Masters in Business on Bloomberg Radio, and they were interviewing Cameron Mitchell, who was not really on my radar until recently.
Who is
And
Cameron Mitchell for?
So Cameron Mitchell is a restaurateur who owns a couple concepts. He's in the Midwest, but he's like crazy successful.
Yeah.
His two main concepts are, one's called Ocean Prime, which is a high-end seafood kind of concept, and then there's another one called the Rusty Bucket, and Mike was actually telling me about. It's a casual restaurant concept. That one's in 6 states. I think it's 23 or 24 locations.
Wow.
And and he has one. There's definitely he has some. I think he has an Ocean Prime in New York, or at least one concept in New York City.
Okay.
That he was talking about on the podcast. Now, this podcast was pre-COVID, but he was talking about that.
Yeah.
And it was like $11 million build out or something like that.
Jesus.
But he's mostly based Midwest and West, and it was crazy that he had this much of a footprint on the restaurant industry, and I wasn't even really familiar with who he was until Mike put me on, and I learned more about it.
Gotcha.
But the reason why I said that is because he was asked on this interview about Danny Meyer and the whole tipping thing and whether they were how he felt about that, and he was definitely on the exact opposite of that anyway. So
Really?
I'd be curious to see where the decision made, why it wasn't going to work post-COVID.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to see maybe if there was like interaction, or I don't know. He made it sound like they were friendly.
Oh,
so
okay. So he might have influenced that decision, you're saying?
maybe, I don't know.
That
He's
is
got a
interesting.
footprint of about like 35, 40 restaurants.
Yeah.
Ocean Prime being one of the largest
Yeah,
of the
and
bunch.
you see their revenue?
No, I didn't see all
It's
that.
like $1 billion.
No, he didn't open the books to me this week. Just sorry.
It's public though. You
No,
can
but
see it. It's
he's
public.
got other restaurants in here too. He's got the
Built
Avenue
like with
Steak
a B.
Tavern, the Barn,
That's a lot
Cap
of
City
money.
Fine Diners, Marcella's, Hudson 29. The list goes on. Definitely accomplished. But wow, it's actually crazy. There's a lot of Ocean Primes at the end of the day. Sure, I'm sure the revenues are through the roof.
In the billions
Yeah.
annually.
When you
Annually.
talk about what places are making, I was actually listening to the
With a B.
earnings report for Darden Restaurant Group, and they're responsible for Olive Garden, Yard House, Longhorn Steakhouse is in there as well. And some of the analysts were asking them questions about how they've adapted to the current situation that we're in. And they said that they did kind of struggle a little bit with accommodations in the Olive Garden, considering they have a lot of these like private rooms, which are pretty much big enough just kind of for a large table for families, and they're not really utilizing them as well, and they can't really break it down to put smaller tables inside of them either, just because it's still kind of a tight little room at the end of the day.
Right.
But they have apparently become more efficient in the way they're operating to be able to still be turning profits. So it was interesting to see a bigger restaurant group be able to kind of pivot to figure out how to stay
profitable. Did they list the areas where they've become more efficient specifically?
No, I had to tune it out after a while, but sure enough, those things are all out there. You know, if you're in this restaurant business, if you're an owner, these are things that you probably want to check out, and it's pretty easy to go look at the conference calls from the earning reports on these publicly traded companies. You just go right on their website and go to the investor center, plug in a little bit of information, and sure enough, you got an hour worth of content on how maybe to better your restaurant to pivot into a better I guess, efficiency, if you will.
Yeah.
You know? But we got some things to touch on here today, too. And I think that Justin just shoved this off a little bit ago. But mental health is serious. And not so much for me, but in general, not so much for me at this point, I should say.
Okay.
But in general, like, we've been crushed in this business. A lot of people that are on the working side and ownership side. And, like, every day you wake up, it's kind of just like a grueling battle. Like, all right, are we going to kill it today? Are we going to make enough money to pay these bills off today? What are we going to do? And just talking to, you know, some of the people I'm working besides, too, when they talk about these dark funks that they've been in for the past months, going through trying to figure out how to find a new job, and I'm applying for restaurants and nobody's hiring, or, you know, whatever it may be. It's like, how do you push past that, and how do you figure out how to just stay afloat in that meantime?
As a restaurant or as an employee?
Doesn't matter what it is. You could be an owner going through some type of hardship where you're just strung out every single day just trying to think of how to keep the place open, or you can be an employee just saying, how do I pay my bills?
How do you manage your mental health?
Yeah, how do you
I honestly think that's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like people don't even realize right now right now we're in the end of summer, kind of the heat of the thing, you know, whatever you want to call it. So the timeline's a little bit off because of the closures or whatever. But I don't think anybody's really feeling that yet, because right now the numbers are great. Like, people are out, at least in this area, like in the Northeast right now, numbers are above normal for this time of year. So if you looked at 2019 August, which sucks. August sucks theoretically, right?
Yeah.
If you looked at 2019 August, you looked at 2018 August, and you compared your numbers for the last 3 weeks, maybe not everybody, but I think for the most,
maybe we're generalizing.
But I think for the most part, if you're running a sufficient operation and you've adapted to this point and you're hitting August, I think your numbers are above your regular August numbers.
Yeah, just because everybody's home.
Everybody's home. Yeah. Everybody's out. People are a little more. We talked about it last week. People are a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
Getting more comfortable with being out and about and outside, and things are open. You still have some businesses that are definitely propped up by the PPP loan and stuff like that kind of coasted them a little bit. And I think it might be in a lot of people's, in the back of the mind for a lot of people, but right now not prevalent.
Right.
So the mental health aspect is probably pretty positive right now.
And you're saying this from an ownership perspective.
From an ownership standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm going to say even for the servers and the bartenders per se, because you have the volume right now, but what's looming, right, to quote Game of Thrones, is winter is coming. And all these outdoor areas definitely the Northeast is going to close.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen then?
That's a big concern.
Where are we going to be with the numbers then? Where are we going to be with restrictions then? Who cares about restrictions? The real thing is, where are we going to be with how people are comfortable then? Because that's when it changes.
I think even bigger than that, like, you're kind of just thinking small picture around here. I think, is anything going to be open? Because if you look at New York City, like, indoor dining is not a thing right now.
Right.
Like, we can do indoor dining here with half capacity.
But I think New York City is a really special case, because in the Northeast, New York City is really the only place that's not open indoors at this point.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't understand it.
It is strange, but I mean, you know, speaking as a person who was working in the city 5 months ago.
Yeah, but I can see where the real test is when the population, it's all about what the population wants. If it gets cold out and we're not able to open that front door and there's not some fresh air coming in, if restaurants don't have fresh air coming in, is the population going to continue to be comfortable sitting inside the restaurant with the front door open? Are they going to be comfortable sitting inside the restaurant if it's not open, if it's just inside? Does the heating systems work the same way as the AC systems? All these questions. What's the holiday season going to look like?
I think for someone in your position who's kind of already spent the last 5 months maximizing your to-go sales and all that, even if you're cut off from your indoor dining, you're probably going to be in a good space. So I think somebody who hasn't done that yet, this is a good time for you to start thinking about how am I going to survive with possibly no dining, no indoor dining.
Yeah, but now our servers are back, right? And when we go back to takeout, that means it's going to lay back into layoffs and those kind of things.
This is true.
So yeah, we can probably survive another takeout run. I don't want to,
right?
But we can. The restaurant itself can survive another takeout run. But we've now adopted to this new life of like serving with COVID, and it's doing pretty well. Dude, the servers, the last take, all right, they all cleared because we can talk about this if it ties into the tip share stuff. You Jay, let me know if it ties in, but we can talk about it. We adapted to a tip pooling scenario just to protect everybody around.
You have to. You can't not do a tip pool because, where the bartenders are maybe used to, in most case scenarios, cleaning up a little bit.
Yeah.
They've lost a lot of their real estate sitting at the bar. So
some places all of it.
Right. I mean, we don't even have the bar open, so everybody's a server right now.
So you got a pool, and I think you're operating probably with less people than you were before.
We were. So
right?
Instead of having 3 servers, we have 2 servers or a runner, and we pool it. Everybody's pool, but the runner earns less than the server. But we worked it out. If you really want to get to the math of it, it's a weighted pool, and the server is like 1-to-1, and the servers are 185 to 1. So a server owns $1.85.
You run your pool like you're betting on horses.
Well, you gotta. So a server owns $1.85 to $1.
Right.
A server runner owns $1 to $1. So they're getting $1 to $1. Server for every dollar runner makes, server makes 185.
Right.
I'd like to put $5 on the trifecta.
So that's how it works, right? That's how we did it. There's no bar right now.
Right. It's just servers and
the
runners.
pool thing kind of works too because everybody's on the same team now. It's like we need as much money in that pool as possible.
Yeah. So everybody's got to hustle.
Who cares if that's your table, my table? We're gonna help everybody. So I kind of like that aspect of it. But the last pay period, I'll tell you right now, and this is August pay period.
Yeah.
They were like 50 plus an hour. Like 55, 60 an hour on the pool. The servers were
and those are it's relative to the operation where you're at. Not all operations are doing that, man.
But that's not going to sustain. That's my point. That's not going to sustain. That's a peak. That's a peak thing. That was also the hurricane week. We were the only place open with power, so we obviously had
extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, extenuating circumstances. So you're not going to keep $60 an hour because you're doing better than some engineers, but But
and now take that though, right? You hit a valid point on yes, some people are excelling.
Before you get too far, just
spots.
remember those numbers. And now Smokehouse is hiring right now, right?
We are. We're looking
shtailgate.com.
SHtailgate. Click join the squad.
There you go.
And
Jay, continue.
You're hitting on people that are fortunate to be able to be having these jobs, but like you just said, you're operating with less people working completely at the end of the day. So what happens to those other 2 people that used to be on the floor that are no longer on the floor? Have those people been able to find a job? Are they waking up in the morning just like in pain and angst going, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't get hired anywhere. I don't want to go work at Target for $10 an hour or whatever it is.
So
What's
we've
minimum
hired...
wage? I have zero idea. Does anybody know?
For what position?
Like general life, what's minimum wage?
12.
$12 an hour now?
15 in the city.
And in servers... I know that's 15.
Yeah.
What about for servers minimum wage?
I think the server credit right now for New York is $3.
Okay.
So it's like $9, whatever. It's
$8
like
something.
$9.
It's up to $9 something.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's how you know when you're getting old because you remember getting like a 17-year-old kid Applebee's paycheck and your hourly was like $5. Well, yeah, you're old. $5 an hour or something. You just see it keep going up. That's called inflation.
When I started working, the actual minimum wage was $7.50. Yeah, $7.50 when I started.
$2.85.
But so who is able to? Some people are able to pivot. They found other things to do. They're keeping busy. But like I said, those other people that are like hoping things just pan out and hoping that the bars hire people again and hoping that they get back to regular life pre-COVID. Those people are struggling a lot. And having these conversations with people where they're just like, I woke up every morning just not knowing what to do and watching my bills just stack up and me not being able to pay them. Yeah. That's a miserable fucking place to be in, I think.
That is kind of a shitty place to be in. And I can imagine that's probably what a lot of people are going through right now.
So like I'm just gonna say this and say it from experience. I was making $100 an hour flipping furniture that I found on Craigslist and found on Facebook for either free or little money.
I remember when you started doing this, and I would be updated on your scavenging adventures.
But I relist with beautiful photos and sell it for a much more higher price than what I got it for. And that was like the game for me, was like, hey, how could I do this? And it took 7 flips to make it to $1,000.
So, I mean, I think the point of the story is you got to find your lane. You got to find something to do.
I think so. And, you know, pick up a book, read about something, open up the internet, just gain more knowledge and experience during these times where, it sucks to wake up every morning being like, what the hell am I going to do? But it's really easy to flip something. You could literally go out right now on Craigslist. You could find something and then you could relist it for sale and probably make a profit on it.
There's a few people that I've talked to that are completely switching lanes in this. I think 2 of my former coworkers, one of them has gone into computer programming. He said he's not going back to the kitchen, and another one is in like IT systems or something like that. So I mean, there's a lot of people who are like realizing
that there's other things to do out there and ways to keep busy. But the longer that you sit there, the longer you don't talk to your bill collectors, the longer you don't try to make some type of payment or, you know, have that conversation with them to delay or defer your payments, that shit's going to stack up on you incredibly, and it's going to be a weight for a long time. Yeah, so that's all I want to talk about on mental health. You know, there's ways to claw out of there. You got to throw a ladder into that ditch and crawl out of it.
You should let people know where they can reach you for tips on how to flip stuff on Amazon.
No.
You know, when you say your average hourly rate when you flip stuff at Amazon, but how many hours a week are you working on that?
I didn't work that many hours a week.
That's what I mean. So if you make $100 an hour, but you work 5 hours.
No, but the thing was, you calculate the time that it takes you to go pick up the item, list the item, and then by the time it sells, you're calculating the time that it takes for somebody to come meet you. It's not a lot of time for the money that you're actually getting. And part of those are in the Excel sheets and the calculations that you have. Now, if I did that full time, do I think I'd be able to clear a lot more money? Probably.
So why don't you?
It's a lot of work to run around. I like sitting behind the computer screen and typing. It's easier, you know?
Yeah.
But that's all I gotta say on that.
Oh no, my battery's dying. So coming into fall, right? So I'm trying to figure out what are the new trends to hit for fall.
Pumpkin spice, everything.
Yeah. It's every year. If you remember, actually, this is funny because in our first episode, or maybe our second episode, I'm pretty sure it was our first episode, we were talking about it was winter.
Yep, and they're starting to try to sell you
I was
those
like, yo,
pumpkin beers
summer's
already.
right around its corner. And you're like, oh, it's so far. And I was like, no, next week is this, next week is that. Then it's summer, let's go. But, you know, unfortunately, we had COVID and that fucked everything up.
Right.
But now it's fall.
So
and to be
now
honest,
you
it's
have
been
that
fall
pumpkin
for like
spice.
2 weeks because Oktoberfest has been out. They're about to start hitting the Pumpkin Fest and all that
How many
stuff.
kegs of Sam Oktoberfest do you have right now?
0, dude. I'm still on summer. I'm still on summer ale.
How many did you agree to purchase in the future?
I did not.
Didn't make any agreements?
No, I did not. I hate the fall season. I don't skip it because I understand the public likes it, so sales are sales.
Why do you hate it? You don't like
it.
any of the fall beers?
You know why? Because it's so over the top. It's like boom, boom. And we actually saw it drop. Like, there's a couple years ago, there was like pumpkin beer. Everybody made a pumpkin beer, pumpkin cider, pumpkin this, pumpkin that, pumpkin. But then last year, the sales went way off, way down. And the last 2 years, actually, sales went way down 2 years in a row. A bunch of people overproduced pumpkin stuff, got stuck with it 2 years ago, came back out, tried to resell that shit for the next year.
Everyone was like, nah, I don't want that
and
shit.
everyone was like, nah.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of like brands. Like, you could get some pumpkin stouts that were from 2018 and 2019.
And they tried to make that sound like a good thing?
Yeah, and they tried to, it was an aged pumpkin stout. Like, yo, get out of here, bro. Like, you
Unfortunately
couldn't sell
aged
that shit
pumpkin
last
stout.
year. You're trying to sell it to me this year.
That's funny.
So I'm like, but I think this year it's actually much more diluted, coupled with the drop in the sales, plus the whole COVID thing. I think I'm sorry, I said diluted, but I think it'll be much,
You think it's going to make a resurgence?
not a resurgence, but there'll be less in the market. It won't be as flooded.
Okay.
Right? So we might actually just have an appropriate amount of pumpkin hit the market instead of too much.
I'm not a fan of the pumpkin beers, but I like the Oktoberfest beers.
Seeing through Twitter, all I've seen was can't wait for pumpkin spice everything.
Yeah, no,
fall's
I mean,
almost here. If
There's
that's
something
some
nice
indication.
about sitting outside on a crisp fall day, drinking a nice, like,
We're going to swap out the palm trees for haystacks.
that's cool.
you
I
won't.
like it. I like it.
You won't get in theme. No, you won't. You won't do it. Nah, come on.
Are you going to do a Stein
There's nothing good like a nice
do a
apple cider donut.
Stein hoisting on the Ave.
Were we allowed to? You allowed to put your Stein 6 feet apart, the other one? I
You
don't
know what? Just to be honest with you, if we're still kind of going through the same thing in October, You should be making fresh donuts right by this window and
Dude,
just
I'm
selling
for
them
it.
as walk by.
There's nothing better than a nice fresh hot apple cider donut. It's
Right?
really good. We'll get a cider slush going and do a cider donut with some cider slush. Figure that out. It'd be
And-
nice.
and those are
Anyway,
things.
but
But no,
I
this
digress.
is what people should be doing right now, just preparing for the fall
Yeah.
as we're approaching it quickly.
so what are the new trend? Like, what do you think are the new trends in? I have an idea for cocktails. I think I'm gonna skip a trend and try to be. I'm trying to trail a blaze on a new trend.
Blaze a trail.
Yeah, blaze a trail, trail a blaze. That's what I meant to say.
yeah.
Blaze a trail.
What trail are you gonna blaze?
Okay, so tequila was very popular for the last couple of years.
Still is, some would say.
It was, I mean, it's still very popular, but it was a number one spirit a couple of years ago.
Yep.
It's not anymore.
In the fall?
It was, listen, I'm not going to tequila. And a couple of years ago, number one spirit was tequila in America, even though whiskey is the American spirit.
People
tequila
love their
was the mo-
tacos and margaritas.
That's what it was. It was
Yep.
tacos and margaritas. The margarita was like the number one drink in America. It's not anymore.
Replaced by
There's, I'm really mad that I don't know the answer to that question. I'm really mad.
what?
Do you know?
You shouldn't have started
What's
this
the most
conversation
popular?
with
At
that.
this
Because I'm not going to
present
the most
moment-
popular cocktail.
I get that, but still, it's important to know.
Do you know
At
what the
this
most
present,
popular?
I feel like the most popular cocktail is an Aperol Spritz. I'm not
Well,
even joking.
that's because it's summer and stuff like that. But I want to say it's vodka because of the mule. I think the mule had a
think so?
resurgence, but
Might have been, yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what it is right now. But I know there's a trend coming up with rum, and I know
Why
rum
do you
has been
say that?
increasingly more popular, and you see more and more places popping up with the tiki drinks. So tiki drinks have been
Tiki
around.
is for sure making a resurgence.
Yeah,
I think.
tiki is making a resurgence. So tiki has been around forever, obviously.
Especially if
And-
you ask studs, like tiki
yeah,
is
if you ask
tiki's
us,
it.
it's there. and real like cocktail connoisseurs will understand like a true tiki drink and
Yep.
the quality ingredients that goes into it, and a nice rum and all that stuff. But tiki's been kind of hitting a little mainstream at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna run a little bit,
Okay.
right? But I'm not trying to jump on the tiki trend.
Not trying to start a tiki bar.
No, I'm not trying to do that. What I'm going is I'm gonna take a gamble,
Okay.
and I'm jumping on the hurricane trend.
Hurricane.
Traditional hurricane, because if rum is becoming popular, and not that it wasn't popular, but it's becoming it's becoming more popular, and tiki drinks are more popular. Hurricanes at one point were a very popular rum cocktail.
Interesting.
They've been diluted. So
What
there's
what does a traditional hurricane bring?
okay, so like we could tell the whole story, but you go back to Pat O'Brien's in New Orleans post prohibition. The whole story is that Pat O'Brien's wanted to buy some whiskey post
Prohibition.
Post prohibition, he wanted to buy some whiskey. Whiskey was very valuable, so the distributors and the wholesalers didn't have a whole ton of it. It was allocated, but what was very available was rum. 'Cause rum
Distilled
was a
with
little-
sugar and all that.
yeah,
so it's
sugar
pretty
was very
available.
it was available more readily. It's faster to make. It came from the Caribbean. There was plenty of it.
Okay.
So the distributors and the wholesalers from the story said to Pat O'Brien, if you want this whiskey and you want to be able to buy this whiskey, you got to take like 50 cases of rum, right? So he's like, fine. He took 50 cases of rum
He's like, what
just
am I
to
gonna
have
do with
access
this?
to the whiskey
Right.
post-prohibition. Nailed it, right? So now he's got 50 cases of whiskey. He's got to figure out, what do I do? I mean, 50 cases of rum. What do I got to do with all this rum?
Yeah.
So they came up with the hurricane. Now there's conflicting reports whether the hurricane was actually invented in New York and Pat O'Brien just knew about it, or Pat O'Brien actually invented it.
Huh.
Either way, the Pat O'Brien hurricane in New Orleans is clearly the most popular and the one that people know about.
This just in, David. There's conflicting reports of where this drink originated.
You know? So whether it was actually originated in New York, whatever, it doesn't matter.
You know,
Pat
I'm
O'Brien's
gonna-
clearly put it on the map.
Gonna go out on a limb and say it probably was developed in New Orleans since it's called the Hurricane, and they might be a little more familiar with hurricanes than we are up north. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Whatever.
Whatever. Right? So originally, the hurricane was made with 4 ounces of rum,
Okay. Which is a lot of rum.
which is a lot of rum.
Yeah.
Right? In a 13-ounce drink, in a 13-ounce glass. So it's 4 ounces of rum, passion fruit, real grenadine, some lemon juice, something like that.
Okay.
Maraschino cherries in the orange.
No, that came later. Okay,
Talking about
so
the
that's
original, the
that's
OG
how
hurricane.
that's how it made. That's
Yeah.
how it was made, and that's how I'm making it. Anyways, eventually I realized that passion fruit was expensive. Making grenadine from real pomegranates was expensive. All these things were expensive. Eventually, it evolved to what you would get Now, if you went down to Bourbon Street, you went to Pat O'Brien's, and you ordered a hurricane, it'd be a bright red cocktail because it's basically Hawaiian punch and rum put together
Gotcha.
in a hurricane glass with a maraschino cherry and whatever else and whatever. But since I'm seeing like rum and stuff kind of come back and the tiki drink being popular, I'm saying maybe I can jump a trend, be ahead of the next one, and get on these hurricanes. So I'm starting to make some hurricanes
Interesting.
with the original ingredients.
So you're making
Yeah.
your own grenadine.
We bought a high-end grenadine that's made from real pomegranates. I did not make my
I
own
was
real
about to say,
pomegranate.
you're making grenadine. Let's go.
No, but we made 100, like it's an 100% pomegranate, real pomegranate grenadine
That's interesting.
that we bought, and the passion fruit syrup and the fresh lemon and all that stuff into it.
What are
it's
you
a
using
killer
for? What are
cocktail.
you using for glassware? That's what I want.
We use a 13-ounce traditional hurricane glass.
What does that
you've
look
got
like
these
for
on
those
deck
who don't
already.
know?
Yes.
Okay, specifically for this drink. He's been prepping this for a while. You know, this did not just happen. You know,
No.
he's been spewing a lot of information out on the top of the head like it's been readily available for some time.
No, so like now my whole thing is, and our whole thing at the restaurant, we have our 3 house cocktails, which we always have. And instead of doing a seasonal cocktail list or, you know, rotating around different kind of cocktails,
seasonal
we're just
hurricane?
going to go, it says house cocktails, hurricanes.
I like it.
And that's going to be our thing. We're going to have our house cocktails and we're going to have hurricanes, and I'm going to swap them out every season.
How many different rotating hurricanes are you gonna have on?
So right now we have 2. I'm working on a 3rd one that I'm going to try to make with tequila. It's really, it's challenging, but I'm working on balancing it out correctly. It's kind of like a cross between a margarita and a hurricane. But I make one traditional, which we call Pat O'Brien's.
Yeah.
We make one Bourbon Street, which we make with bourbon, and it really hits nice.
As long as you don't name it a margarita cane, I'm good. Whatever you want to do, man.
No, I gotta figure out the naming part of it, but that's what we're working on. But anyway, like, what are some other? I mean, I just ate up a
You
bunch
should call
of
it
minutes.
Hurricane Rita.
Hurricane Rita. I was thinking about what was the one that just hit? Isaiah or whatever. I can't pronounce it. It wasn't Isaiah.
I can't.
It was something. Anyway, but what are some other trends? Like, what about food trends? What's hitting? What was like birthed out of this whole thing? Hurricanes weren't birthed out of this whole thing that we went through, but maybe some family style meals and definitely
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say, but I don't think that's really hitting anymore. I think I'm not sure what people are.
I predict that what you're going to see in the food trends is things that are super fast and easy and super high profit margin. And I think that's what like restaurants are really going to start going to, and they're going to start really looking at takeout windows for their restaurants as like a prime focus, not so
Yeah.
much the dining inside.
That's for sure.
I think people are gonna focus a lot more on their to go, and I
And
think people
to-
are gonna incorporate to go into their business models.
Yeah, as like a primary look before they actually think about what's being served on the inside. And if you got to make rent and you can only have 50% capacity in the restaurants for some time to come, then yeah, look for a lot of that ground beef stuff, you know, things with lettuce in them, pork stuff, right? Like the cheap ingredients.
Yeah, so you're talking about generally using offcut stuff that's less expensive.
Yeah,
than
and just jazz it the fuck up, you know?
yeah. I think
Newlands knows how to do that. I've seen some pictures of him doing some kitchen throwdowns during his tenure.
And the chef battles, I miss those. Those were fun. But no, I think it
I
is.
had a shrimp and steak teriyaki protein bowl the other day. I'm not gonna say where, but it was not good. It did not hit.
I was about to say that sounds pretty good.
It just wasn't enough like teriyaki.
I mean, you like a lot of sauce.
It had nothing.
Yeah,
I do like a lot of sauce.
You do like
it
a
had
lot of sauce.
nothing, and the steak was overcooked.
As a sucker for like one
There it is.
item, one item that's kind of like just pretty cheap to push out. Like I will almost pay any type of money for any jazzed up lettuce wrap. Like it's just light, it's refreshing. You know, you could fill it with a handful of anything, literally like anything,
I gotta
and
be
it
honest,
works.
I've never ordered a lettuce.
The only place I've ever ordered lettuce wrap is P.F. Chang's. They have those lettuce.
And they've been on that for a long time.
Not gonna lie, they're banging.
No, I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about something that was repurposely
Oh,
wrapped in lettuce.
okay, gotcha.
Never done that.
Like you never said, "Let me get a burger, forget the
Yeah.
bun,
I was
sub
about to
lettuce
say
wrap."
the only reason that I've never done that is because I've gone through trying to wrap a burger in lettuce before. I'm not gonna put that on anybody else.
No, the rat. No, are you missing the point? It's like a taco.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
You
doing
haven't
that to
seen
somebody.
that?
I've been asked to put a taco in a piece of lettuce before.
And you were like, no.
I mean, I was like,
No,
sure,
we
here
did
you go.
it.
But like,
I was gonna say, like, what do you mean, no, chef? I want this. Make it.
yeah, so I did. But Jay, a piece of lettuce is not a tortilla.
I understand that, which is why it makes it more of a slick little cheap appetizer plate. And when you're looking at it from a profit margin perspective, you could get away with charging $13, $14 for this thing.
It
People
depends.
will
It
pay
depends on what kind of lettuce you're buying. if you're buying nice lettuce, you don't want to throw it away as using it as a tortilla.
Are you saying like romaine versus iceberg?
Well, I'm thinking specifically of the baby iceberg heads that we used to buy.
Yeah, we used to buy like
nice
nice
heads of lettuce,
baby iceberg lettuce.
and it was
shaped for that.
40 of them in a case, and it was over $1 per head of lettuce.
Oh, you're saying that the size of the actual lettuce
I'm saying that
head.
to destroy a piece of lettuce that you cannot use as a salad now, to use it as a burger bun or a taco
Gotcha.
shell, it's not worth it.
So you're saying you would get specific lettuce that were big enough,
Yeah.
or small enough, I should say, to just use it for like a wrap.
I guess.
Isn't
Come
lettuce
up with
cheap as it is
some-
anyway?
It is when you buy it by the head, by the case, but we got it like
You got specialty lettuce for what we're
specialty
doing.
lettuce.
Yeah.
Because you weren't using lettuce as much.
We just wanted it to be perfect every time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But like, could you not agree that you would just get it by the case to?
We did
to
get it.
roast?
We
But
did
to
get it by
get,
the case.
we would buy it by the case. No, we would buy that lettuce by the case. But if
Yeah.
we just bought a case of random lettuce heads, we would trim so much off it to get to the part that we needed, that was like perfect to use.
Okay.
So we bought the case of the
It's
part that we
little
use.
perfect.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was like already trimmed down, and somebody
Correct.
did something else with the piece that they actually
I
needed.
think it was grown specifically, but yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I want to be on the other end. Like, where'd the rest of the lettuce go? I want to follow it on its
Probably
journey.
shredded in bags at Restaurant Depot.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. You know, I speak from not a chef standpoint. Okay, and I know little to nothing.
He speaks from the standpoint of someone who asks, "Hey, could you just wrap that in lettuce for me?"
Yeah, but I'm saying as far as like foods go, that's all
But
I
if
see
you
the
got
trend.
regular lettuce,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
wouldn't
like-
complain.
No, I mean, I guess not.
Probably.
don't know.
Well, no. At home, that's what I would do.
That's
I
right,
would
you
just
just
grab like
take
a piece of iceberg, I throw it in
The
there.
top layer off.
Totally.
Yeah, I know.
That brown layer that's on top, take it off, and
And then I got like 7 more wraps through that, and then after that, whatever else gets tossed in the trash. Yeah, wasteful at home, you know.
what are you seeing on cocktail trends, though? See something
Honestly,
new?
I don't see any cocktail trends. I
Nothing?
see that creativity is at a standpoint, I think, and I
Like you
don't.
guys are worrying about your masks all the time.
Yeah.
No time to be innovative.
Yeah, we got too many things to be pulling up on our face. No, but honestly, I don't see the market for it there the same way that there once was, at least
You know
not
what?
at this
Because
time period.
People aren't sitting at the bar as much as they used to be, like congregating the way they used to be. You know,
Totally.
like there's no showcase for a bartender anymore.
Agree. I think for the most part, yeah. And you know, you had your little bag cocktail phase when we were doing these takeout things, and you know, we mentioned before, Blind Pig did some cute things where they put it in the bag and then
Yeah,
they
yeah.
stapled the garnish to the side of it. Also,
And these cocktails to go, how long is that going to last? That's going on.
it's. I don't think we ever really have real answers to anything about like when cutoff dates are for things. It's like every month you get just this updated cutoff or additional time period.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think cocktails are anybody's main focal point at this point. We have hundreds of variations of them through all of the years. It's near impossible to develop a brand new cocktail at this point in time. So yeah, is there going to be some new trend just popping up? If there's any trend, my inclination is going to be that that trend will be something in the to-go variation. Like how do you,
Some new cool way to package it to go cocktail?
as like a retail product. You know what I mean? I just don't see restaurants at this very moment or bars.
Well, that's
being-
if to-go cocktails even make it past September 4th.
Yeah,
14th.
and
Oh, so that's
that's
the
a valid
date?
point.
Is it September 4th or September? I think September 4th.
Thanks
yeah,
for
but
joining the
they'll
conversation.
yeah.
We asked that question like 3
Yeah, they'll
minutes ago.
reinvigorate those rules though at that time period.
You know.
I'm sure.
But it's tough to put too much focus into cocktails to go before you know that it's going to be extended. We've talked about how they're so late at extending
Yeah.
those things. Like, why am I going to spend hours trying to figure out new cocktails to go or
But it
whatever?
might be over tomorrow.
And it might just be over in 2 weeks. I would like to know, is it going to be over or is it going to get the whole year?
So this is like the prime time too, where every single sale counts, and you want to bring in every single dollar you possibly could. And you know, we say it all the time. And part of restaurant training for servers or bartenders is like just a basic upsell technique. Get a higher value, sell an additional piece. Oh, you like that iceberg salad lettuce salad? Do you want chicken on that thing? It'll be like just $4 more, or $3.99 even, to keep the numbers lower, right? But these are the times where training your staff to be able to upsell things appropriately probably matters the most. Like, you better come over to that table suggesting that appetizer and make somebody salivate to the point where they can't say no. Or you got to be able to tack on, you know, something that the Melting Pot always did, and it was their effort to get a little upsell going, was they used to sell their seasoning to every single table. And like part of
Smokehouse is doing that.
Their seasoning?
It was
They
their seasoning.
Sell their
Yeah.
seasoning?
It's a dry dressing season, a dry salad seasoning, and it was tasty. It was super oniony and garlicky of type, but they would always say, you got to go over to a table at the end and, oh, do you love that salad? Because everyone has to get the salad. There's no getting around it. You get the salad. It's a piece of that whole experience, quote unquote. But like, you bring it
You have
over.
to make your own salad too, or do they actually make that for you?
You have to like dip the lettuce in cheese.
Because I know Melting Pot actually does
Right
nothing.
yeah, I know. Right by table 64, there's a little garden. You go pull out
pick
your
your
lettuce.
lettuce?
Yep. You decide which one's for you.
That's an
But sure enough,
experience.
that's another $3.99 on top
Charge
of their,
people
their
$30.
bill.
They had to cook their own food.
And bill at the end of the day. Yeah, I dealt with guys like you working there. In
Oh,
my
you worked
youth.
there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, but I'm saying that's one of those
The
things
only thing
they
that
always
was
would
worth
do.
it, you shouldn't eat there. You should get the cheese beginning and the dessert, and that's it. The middle part is so overrated. It's put some pieces of steak in some oil. Like what am I doing?
Is that how you feel about like Korean barbecue places too?
No, it's different. You
It's-
cook your
it's
own
different
Korean
'cause-
barbecue.
Yeah.
It's
It's
different
fondue?
because men like
No,
fire.
it's not fondue. There's like a grill on the table and you like grill your stuff.
I'll be honest, I've never experienced it.
It's an induction. It's an
I would-
induction burner.
I've
that's on the
experienced.
table.
I've experienced.
There's like actual grills in
No, they
some
got
places.
rid of those. That
experienced
was
melting
like
pot.
1980. That was a long time
Are you
ago.
talking about
you
Korean
talking about-
barbecue or melting pot?
I've been to those before.
Are you
To
talking
melting
about
pot?
No, he's
No,
talking about
to
Korean
Korean
barbecue.
Oh yeah, those are grills, man. That's why we like that because it's fire.
Yeah,
That's what we're talking
no,
about.
melting pot sucks.
We're not going that far, but all I'm saying is that there's an
I'm
experience
sorry,
for
the
everybody.
entree part of it sucks. You want to go there and you get cheese and you dip shit in the cheese, that's good, and then the
Yeah.
dessert where you dip in chocolate is good. But I don't want to cook my steak in some hot oil on an induction burner on a table.
Yeah, because you're not that clientele, right? Like
100%.
this is bring the kids
I'm out.
together, and you're having a day out. Like
Coming
there's,
back for dessert.
I can't even discuss anything with you guys. You know, you gotta understand. There's different
but
people for different
Me and you will
spots.
go to
and there's
Korean
different
barbecue spot
experiences for
when they
everything.
open up again.
All right.
That's good. I like
Sounds
that.
good.
But yes, Korean barbecue is fantastic because there's a big
Fantastic.
flame. You get to char the shit out of your steaks on
Yeah.
each side. Sometimes you tell them don't even change the grill because I'm trying to get it all charred up even more.
Exactly.
And you almost burn the place down.
They come over
they've
and
got
turn
the
it
big
down. I'm like,
vent.
no, just leave it alone. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gayukaku is probably one of the bigger ones that are out
In Westchester.
in this area, I think, right?
Yeah.
They have two in the city, I think, too.
Okay.
I don't know what they're
I've
doing
been to the one in White
currently.
Plains. It was nice. It was real nice.
Oh yeah, I would go there for lunch. You pay $16 and they hit you with the salad.
It was a little
soup,
more than $16. but
rice, 3 different meats. Oh, it was a lunch special, man.
Super nice.
Yeah, you go with dinner, you're paying your
You're
newborn
paying- you're paying
child,
some money,
so
yeah.
take that with you.
Is that
That is good.
different than like that kimchi smoke place?
Kimchi smoke.
Remember they were at the.
Oh yeah, way different. Like he does barbecue food and he cooks. He puts like Korean flair on it.
Gotcha.
Korean barbecue is thinly sliced meats grilled hot and fast at the table.
Gotcha. Understood.
Delicious.
Speaking
thing.
of spices, we actually just bottled our tailgate rub.
Shout out to Spiceology taking care of.
Spiceology, a little
yeah.
collab with Spiceology.
Have you been here this whole time we were talking about upsells and
I know,
retail
that's why I'm
products
just
and
I'm
stuff?
coming back to it. I'm rolling
now
it.
you're bringing this
Yeah, I'm
in.
rolling it back.
Rolling
All
it
right,
back. He's tying
so
it all in.
Explain to me, what's the price point? Where is this thing being sold at?
We-
How big is this bottle?
We collab with Spiceology,
Love it.
who contacted us and was like, hey, we can bottle some spices or whatever. So we took our rub, which we're now calling tailgate rub to make it easier.
Formerly known as a rib rub.
Formerly known as rib rub. Now we're calling it tailgate rub. Says on the bottle, good for ribs, pork, chicken, whatever,
But not brisket.
but not brisket.
Yeah.
Did you
It's
know that
important.
already?
Yeah.
Oh,
What do you mean?
like you knew it was on the bottle like
Yeah.
that? Oh, did I show you that?
No.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Our branding it precedes myself. But so anyway, they're bottling it up. Actually, today is bottling day, so everything's getting bottled today.
I thought today was shipping day.
What's
23rd,
today?
24th. Today's the 24th.
I thought it was bottling day. Maybe it was shipping day. Whatever. It's coming, and we're gonna sell it at the store. I'm gonna have to talk to Joe a little bit. Maybe throw it into Chico's next to our pork thing. But that kind of talks to what you were saying about having that retail,
Retail presence.
Retail presence coming into the
How big's the bottle?
4.3 ounces.
4.3 ounces.
It's like
It's
every
a
other
little
spice
guy.
bottle
Yeah.
that you see in the
It's like 4 really big shots of vodka or whiskey.
not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ounce. I mean,
Price point
It'd be 4 regular shots of vodka plus a third of an
filled
ounce.
all the way to the what's the top?
Meniscus?
Meniscus. Thank
But
you.
it's seasoning.
That's a tough word. Yeah, but it's seasoning. So what's the price point on
So
these
we're not
bottles?
taking
What are
shots.
we adding this to checks for?
It's gonna come out to we'll probably sell it for $7.95
Okay.
in store.
I like that.
Sure. Love it.
comfortable
Love
with
it.
that
And
number.
now it's part of a spiel for the server to walk over the table and say,
We're gonna put it on every table. Tailgate, Rob. And
yeah,
go
but
buy
they
it.
also have to give like the push. It's,
Yeah,
well,
it's a
then it's
tailgate,
gonna be
bro.
like, oh
Put it on
yeah, I want to
everything.
add that
If you
on.
put it on every table, you sure it's not going to just walk away with the customers at the end of the meal?
It might, but
It might.
It'll
It
be
used
half
to happen
empty.
at Melting Pot. They used to walk out with that garlic wine seasoning.
Well, this
Yep.
is good
Oh,
season.
did you hear the sorry to jump ship here? Did you hear the episode of Joe Rogan with Adam Perry Lang? He talks about people stealing his knives.
Nah.
So he's a restaurateur out in California, barbecue guy, but he makes his own steak knives, and so people steal the steak knives that he's made by hand. So if someone steals a steak knife, like he knows when he sends them out to the table, they had a $90 surcharge to your bill for the knife.
Oh, we've talked about something like this before.
Well, yeah, that was the spoon that my friend tried to
That's
steal.
right. That's right. That's right.
Well, then can't they just return the knife and then
Yeah, so
deduct the $90 surcharge off the bill
he
at
tells
that
stories
point?
about when people steal the knives, he'll like go out of his way after they pay the $90. He'll go out of his way to like reach out to them and try to get the knife back because he makes them by hand, so he only makes a certain number of them. So if someone steals them, it's not about the money; it's about the fact that they're walking away with something that now he's got to go and remake over again. I
Yeah.
just thought that was kind of cool.
Okay, shit. Speaking of getting up and walking away with things, I got some things to do today. Can we go?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, good talk.
We'll check in next week.
Good
Don't
talk.
forget to smash that like and subscribe button because algorithms.
Conviction, Nims. Conviction.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button because algorithms.
Got him.
There you go.